In today's video, we're going to be going over a very important method to double your financial abundance of wealth overnight without any other necessary actions from yourself. And also be going over some Bitcoin price action here too, some Bitcoin, maybe even some Bitcoin setups if you stick around to the very end. So without further ado, let's learn about our abundances from the man himself, manifesting Jesus.
Whenever someone speaks bad about me, my wealth doubles.
Oh, baby, doubling my wealth? Fuck yeah, give it to me. That's exactly what I need in my life right now. So let's go over to some very non-coherent, very unimportant statistics running over here. And we can see that today is indeed Friday. At least that's what my computer tells me as of right now. And Friday, if we measure from the beginning of this year, January 1st, 2024, we can see actually has been a complete wash in terms of whether it's likely to close positively or negatively. It's 50-50. In fact, the most likely day to close positively from the beginning of this year, just measuring from the beginning of this year, is Monday with over 71% probability of closing positively. Anyways, Friday here, we can see on average for the gaining days, for the positive closing days, does give it an average of about 2.41%. And on the losing days, does lose about 2.5% again on average. So we can come up with a bit of a range for that. Again, we already do have the open, obviously, and that would imply that to the upside, we're probably looking, maybe as much as 69,500 as far as range highs, and to the downside, basically around the current wick low. So that would be what is it? Low $66,000, kind of where Bitcoin wicked to last night. Of course, we can see that if we were to actually extend this particular study back out to what I typically have been doing, which is the beginning of 2023, which is when this bull market did start, not necessarily the start of this year. We can see that Friday is actually one of the most likely days to close positively within that particular date range. So other than that, the sticks over here pretty similar, to be honest. But that does give us a nice little daily range, which has been pretty useful during these more consolidationary times. That's when we do see those averages play out, very often, actually. Moving on from there, we can see that this correlates actually quite well with the daily HPDR for CME here. We can see that the median on the HPDR, I don't know why my brain's not working too well right now, but the median is very, very close to yesterday's low. So likely a sweep of yesterday's low, somewhere around there, maybe a little bit lower, maybe a little bit higher than yesterday's low, but somewhere around there, and likely a bounce. But here's the thing, with the way that Bitcoin's kind of shaping up right here, I would be remiss to not say at least that bounce probably does lead to lower. I do think that Bitcoin will come back down and retest probably somewhere around $64,000, to be honest with you. Moving on from there, we did get the 5-day closure last night for CME, and with the way that the 5-day closed, that is a rejection of the median here. So as always, very, very important where things do close, and we do analyze things intra period, in this case 5-day period, a lot can happen. So while this one did look like it was actually going to reclaim it just a couple days ago when it was above $70,000, obviously once closure came in, it was very clearly rejection, and is likely showing us the range for the 5-day time frame coming up over the next, I would imagine, 5 to 10 days, with a low side somewhere around actually $64,000, and in a high side probably wherever the median comes in around, which is currently well above $70,000. So in the short term, does Bitcoin come down and test around here first and then try for a bounce? Probably yes if I had to guess. Looking at our oscillators right here, it is still long-term a more bullish setup. It's just, as long-term would imply, probably going to take longer amount of time. We do see that volatility still contracting here, coming off these lows, and HPDRO is looking like it's losing that downside curvature, which does imply that this is, more or less consolidation. Once that starts to turn back up again above the zero read, we're probably looking at continuation, but this is a 5-day time frame that can take multiple periods, obviously, which, each period is 5 days. So what am I trying to say? Can easily take some time. Of course, we got the 5-day closing for spot price action here as well tonight. I think that this one is rather relevant and pertinent to the current discussion because, Obviously, it's the highest term time frame closing tonight, and the 5-day is currently below the median as well for spot price action. Obviously, we just looked at CME and that already closed below, but this one, if we were to see this time frame close below here as well, that would add on to the case that first Bitcoin does trade back down, probably somewhere around $64,000. And probably try for a bounce there as well. If Bitcoin were to close above the median today, which is actually 67,250, which is kind of where price action is currently at right now, I actually would probably still be looking for a test to the downside, but that would play better in alignment with that test to the downside, likely being the next sort of higher low before Bitcoin does try again higher. So it's really just kind of like a time management here sort of equation that we've been looking at for the past week now. And it does look like Bitcoin, obviously, I think it's quite obvious now with Bitcoin below $68,000 we spoke about for the past couple of days. Consolidation first, before continuation. Unlikely to see continuation this week or probably even next week as well. I do think that we're looking closer to the beginning of June, or the beginning of June, basically. Beginning to mid of June. Anyways, moving on from there, we should also be aware that the 5-day setup over here, the volatility versus stochastic momentum setup, again, same thing as kind of what we just looked at with tonight's closure coming in for spot price action. This can take some more time, but the big pivot here for the 5-day stochastic oscillator is basically $66,000. So assuming that Bitcoin doesn't actually close around the lows today, and yes, I do think it'll probably test, probably somewhere close to around there. We likely do see this one still cross the upside, but it's going to be very, very important to see where that pivot flips coming into tomorrow. So we'll revisit this one tomorrow, and that will likely be sort of a continuation number, identifying if Bitcoin's, more or less mature within this consolidation and ready to move once again until it kind of reclaims that really on this next period in a more like emphatic stance. I would say expect more sideways, basically. I don't think Bitcoin's going to really be making new lows from here below $60,000. And it can't really be looking for any sort of explosive major continuation move to the upside as well. I think the focus really right now is on Ethereum, actually, as they just got their that's the other guys. Ethereum just got an ETF approved in the last half day here. So, do we see the Bitcoin effect with Ethereum where, first response, first move is to the downside and then it kind of picks itself up after that? You kind of have to think that. That is the precedent set here. But, if Ethereum, should we check on Ethereum really, really quickly? Sure, why not? Just talking to myself, if Ethereum starts trading back down below 3,500, especially, I would say that's a pretty good sign that it's not going to happen. But still, long term, this is looking better for Ethereum than not. Again, 5-day stochastic oscillator closing tonight is going to continue to cross the upside as long as Ethereum's above 3150, and it is playing out a very long-term regression here, going in from the lows all the way from June of 2022, connected with the lows of October of 2022, then again with the September of last year 2023 lows, and more recently May. So, these are pretty significant lows before pretty major rallies. Even within the context of a very nasty bear market. This first one over here that it's anchored on did produce 100% rally, actually. Again, that's within the context of a bear market. And that happened relatively quickly, too. About 2 months. I guess it looks kind of quick right here, but 2 months does take a lot longer, I suppose. And then, of course, the more recent one right here, producing a 70% rally over the next 3 months, which eventually got continuation as well. And even this one over here, which did eventually fail, did produce, looks like probably about a 20% rally. Sorry. Wow, that is deceiving. Close to a 40% rally. So, looking at this, still have to favor that, especially on a higher low, on a general uptrend. I'm a lot more biased towards that first response to the downside as probably being an opportunity, similar to what we saw for Bitcoin when Bitcoin got its ETF, which was, if you forgot, all the way back on over here. And it did produce about, 15 days of a pretty intense downside, to be fair. That was percentage-wise about a 21% move. So for Ethereum, do we get something similar? Perhaps yes, but I would be looking at that as likely an opportunity coming off of, generally a higher low on a long-term trend. So what is my main message on this video? Don't lose the forest for the trees. Don't lose the trees for the forest. don't go into the fucking forest, because that's where the issues apparently happen. You start losing sight of everything. Is it the tree or is it the forest? It's fucking both of them. How about that? So my point is, it's likely an opportunity. The question is, how far down does it come here before that opportunity goes by the wayside? So again, for me, big area is about 3,500. Below 3,500, I would expect probably another 10% drop actually, before the next sort of potential low is put in. But for right now, have to respect this. And fair enough. Yeah, that basically is that. Is there anything else that I want to get into? Did I save anything here for the stragglers who stay till the end of the videos? Indeed, I did. Okay, so if you want a quick and obvious way to know when this consolidation is very likely over and very likely ready to move to the upside, this 12-hour setup right here has been pretty fucking good throughout. I mean, really throughout history, as you can see with the, hey, show me the damn curve here, you bastard. Throughout history, but especially since this macro bull did start with the beginning of 2023. It's had a pretty good track record here. Of course, long term, it does have a hit rate just under 55%, so it's not anything super crazy. But where it makes its gains is in its average gains versus its average losers. Average winning trade 15%, average losing trade about 8%. That's going to be a winning setup long term, obviously. So I'm waiting for the next signal on this one. It's definitely not. It's very unlikely to happen today. We need to see volatility represented by the VMP here get back down to like single digit percentiles before this one does fire off. Right now it's at 25 percentile, so it's got some time, but I do suspect that it's going to start to fire off. If you put a gun to my head and said, Krown, tell me when it's going to fire off, there's no way to fucking know. But if I had to guess, if I had to make an educated guess, I'd say probably somewhere around 65 to 60, probably somewhere around 65,000. And once that fires off, there'll be a slightly higher probability of an upside move versus a downside move. But more importantly, we can get then timing for that, and percentage for that as well, which actually timing wise from that firing off, average amount of bars in winning trades is 14. So 14 bars on a 12-hour time frame is 7 days. So that would give us about a week. I imagine it's going to correlate very, very well with some of the other setups that we're looking at that we're projecting about 2 to 3 weeks out, and higher term time frames even going a little bit further out than that. So ultimately, or ideally, all of these will end up working together, and I suspect that it's going to be first notified by this one as far as like timing. Hey, it's time to pay attention, because this one's probably putting in the next major low here. So I'll keep this one updated. Again, this is using the Krown Quant automation tool, which you can use to essentially construct basically any strategy that your fucked up mind, that your crazy mind can think of, and then you can back test. You can have all that automated, and you can even have trade execution automated as well. And because you did stay till the end here, I'll tell you, it's going to be on sale next week. It's going to be on sale. It's going to be a pretty good sale as well. Not as good as last time, but pretty fucking good, because last time was a special one. Anyways, that's going to do it for today. Again, check out MetaSignals. They're still doing their 14-day free trial. I want to give them actually more love recently, because they've been doing really, really well, especially with their short alerts coming out at like the perfect time. If you've been following that, they have a lot of just free alerts in their Discord as well. And like I said, you can try it out for free for 14 days to see if it's relevant to your interests or not. So I think that's a good place for me to be leaving off. As always, I want to wish you the best. Take care, much love, and I hope that you wake up to this money magnet, my money magnet friends.
Infinite, large sums of wealth, unexpectedly.
Oh yeah.
The universe is always surprising me with more and more wealth.
I like the sound of that. And we'll end things right there, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.